I think that it's important first to address the purpose and the objectives of the directive. What is at the core of what this issue is about? We have this directive because Europe wants to be at the forefront of the fight against climate change. We therefore remain committed to our greenhouse gas emissions targets, 80 to 95% by the middle of this century. This will require significant changes in major sectors of our economy, such as power generation, industry, agriculture, construction, you name it, and also transport. And that is just important to understand, that it's not sort of whether we would like to do something about it, it's more like how are we then best achieving this. A smooth, cost-effective transition to a low-carbon economy is beneficial for the climate and can positively contribute towards much-needed sustainable economic growth, green jobs, and securing European competitiveness in the future. And if we do it smartly, it can also decrease our dependency on imported fossil fuels. The directive and its target of reducing the carbon intensity of our fuels by 6% is existing EU law, and it has been approved by all our member states. I know that you have picked this topic about trade and geopolitics, and I know that this is a very interesting aspect. My principled view is, and that goes for the Commission as well, that is that in modern trade agreements, there should not be a contradiction about what you want to do with the environment and to have trade agreements. Modern trade agreements must be able to sort of accommodate this and take care that we are not using trade agreements to lower standards.
However, the legal consequences with regard to trade, and I'm not going into the question if which fuel is better than the other, because from a trade perspective, this is not the point here. The point is, do you pass a legislation which has trade implications without having the necessary impact assessment with regard to that specific area?
So, it is not clear to us that the current impact assessment is properly evaluating trade implications. Unnecessarily interrupting the efficient flow of the market will disadvantage existing suppliers, create crude shuffling, which could potentially drive higher global emissions. The implementation measures previously proposed could have significant negative consequences to the European energy supply chain, and penalizing transparency is sending the wrong signal to your suppliers.
And there's only an oral assessment by the legal service and a one-page non-paper on that, and to me this is just not sufficient. And this has been raised by my colleagues and myself various times, and we hope that in the impact assessment it will come out.
Some would argue, why are we discussing this when, as we also heard from the figures, that we are not at this stage importing a lot of tar sands from Canada or from anywhere else? Because else in 2 years' time or 4 years' time or 6 years' time, people would say, why didn't you regulate before this problem grew bigger? Why don't you give us the fairness that you sort of tried with the best of the available knowledge to try to give the right value for conventional fuels, unconventional fuels? And as I said, it's exactly the same kind of methodology as we are applying for biofuels, as far as I understand, very much with the understanding of the European Parliament. So there's nothing here in a black box. It's totally open and transparent, and we are delivering on the requirements to have an impact assessment.
I believe that those discussions that we see, I mean, if you look at every week's Economist, you see that the discussions on the unconventional oil sources is picking up everywhere. That this can't be dealt with, as Holger Kramer said, in the comitology procedures. As large as the expertise of the people present in these committees might be, this is not enough democratic backing of a very important element of our future in energy.